Apologies for the delay, ladies and gentlemen. We had some technical issues. Fingers crossed, we believe they're now resolved. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this regular meeting of the Rancho Santa Margarita City Council. I'm going to call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Bear, would you like to be honored?
Liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Do we have a roll call?
Mayor Beal.
Here.
Councilmember Baird. Councilmember Figueroa. Here. Councilmember Holloway.
Here. Brings us to item 1, schedule of future events. Ms. City Manager.
We would like to announce that on Wednesday, August 27th, the City of Rancho Santa Margarita Police Services will be offering an e-bicycle safety class. The event will take place from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Bell Tower Regional Community Center. Participants will learn about rules and regulations pertaining to e-bikes and bicycles, the vehicle code as it pertains to riders, knowledge of the do's and don'ts of e-bike and bicycle safety. Parents are welcome and encouraged to attend with their children. For more information, please visit our city website. Thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to item 2, council member comments and report. 2.1 is council member comments. I'll begin with my left. Council member or Mayor Pro Tem, anything?
Yes. I just wanted to thank our staff, Wendy Reddington, our community services director or manager, for the summer concert. Last summer concert, I cannot believe how fast the summer went. Last summer concert was past Sunday. With Spin Down, it was a great band, great turnout. It's all because of all the planning that goes into these things and all the sponsors that help us pay for all that. So many thanks to Wendy Reddington, RSM city staff, Rotary Club of Santa Margarita and Cody de Casa, everybody that was involved. Just a great turnout. For doing it again. So,
Thanks very much. Councilmember Holloway.
Thank you. I just wanted to agree with that. Summer concert series was outstanding. Wendy did her usual good job. Her staff seemed like everyone enjoyed themselves. Obviously, we know that school starting. Some started this week, some start next week, and please be patient with new student drivers and all the traffic that goes along. But the schools, food service is doing a great job keeping up with all of that and keep our eyes open and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Figueroa.
Mr. Mayor, as the critical part of the fire season approaches, I just want to encourage everyone to sign up for Alert OC. Currently, only 28% of our residents are enrolled. The airport fire, that number went up by a little bit, but more of our residents need to sign up so you can receive important information on any fire situation here at alertc.org. And just a reminder too that our June wildfire prevention event was recorded and it's on our city website for you to review at any time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Bear.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to remind everyone about the art exhibit in the RSM Bell Tower. It's featuring local artists and it's available in the hallway of August. It's hosted by RSM Cares and the paintings are very pretty and well worth it for you to stop by. I also wanted to thank Wendy Reddington and all the city staff and volunteers and our sponsors who helped put on our wonderful summer concert series. I was able to attend all of the concerts with family and friends. The bands were incredible and the community had a wonderful time gathering together on our summer Sunday evenings listening to the music. All I heard was compliments about the choice of the bands, and everyone had a great time. Also, one of my goals when I ran for office was to increase engagement and participation in local government. It's been wonderful to see more residents attending or listening to city council meetings, asking questions, and taking an active interest in our local issues. Recently, in a conversation with a resident, I realized that some people may not be aware of all the resources available to them. Before each city council meeting, our city clerk posts the agenda online. Under each agenda item, you'll find a detailed staff report that provides background and context. And these are the same materials that the council reviews to prepare for discussion and decision-making. My council member alluded to this that last meeting in the that we all have. You all have access to those same staff reports. In addition, any presentation shown during a meeting is posted in the supplemental material section of the website. I'm grateful for those who take the time to follow our city council meetings and stay informed about the business of the city. Your involvement makes a difference and is appreciated. Finally, I wanted to express my heartfelt thanks to the Boys and Girls Club of Capistrano Valley for their 13 years of partnership and service to our city. While I'm saddened that the club will be partnering with the city, I'm grateful that they will continue to be offering their much needed programs at our intermediate school for our 7th and 8th grade students. Their dedication has made a lasting difference, and I appreciate all that they have done and continue to do for the youth of our community.
Thank you. That brings us to item 2.2, committee assignment reports. We have none scheduled for time. Does anyone have any assignment committee reports tonight? Okay, we'll move on to item 3, presentation proclamations. 3.1 is our Chamber of Commerce schedule events and updates. For this presentation, I'd like to invite forward the representative of the RSM Chamber of Commerce, Director Diana Colby. Good evening, Diana.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me here. It's a privilege to always come and give you guys an update for Rita Chamber of Commerce. So, you know, and then Chamber update as of August 13th, today, ribbon cutting and anniversary. We continue to see a steady flow of ribbon cutting celebrations. Not only were we honored to celebrate new businesses, but grand reopenings and anniversary ribbon cutting. United Self-Defense Academy, Pure Bar, Arovita, Rainbow Kids Achievement Center, Sergeant Pepperoni Pizza Store, Zuri Pet Spa and Resort, Auntie Anne and Cinnabon in Antonio Plaza, and Elite Dentistry in Antonio Plaza as well. So as of today, that's 14 ribbon cuttings that we've had for 2025. Oh. And just to add, I really want to say thank you again. We've seen many of you attend these ribbon cuttings, and the support is just tremendous. Thank you. New and renewing chamber members. We've had approximately 30 new and renewing chamber members since April. We have brewing up business. Our chamber's bi-monthly business connection meetings continue to energize community members with brewing up business at Out Cafe in Hannah's Point gaining steam. Recent presenters at the brewing up business since April are Wayne Neely, Shared Insurance and Retirement Solutions. Florian Bevett explained how to read and understand payment processing statements, and she's with US Group. Fred Hine demonstrated how to simplify business with AI, and Chamber President Sean Autry and Board Member Charity Hill, co-chairs for Rancho Family Fest, provided an inside look at everything to know for Rancho Family Fest. This was a very well-attended meeting, showing that our members and community are really looking forward to connect the event. Business Workshop Series, Smarter Business, Better Engagement, June, August, September, and October. June 24th, VIP customers, how to recruit and retain them. We had a fantastic session diving into the art of finding and keeping your most valuable customers. Attendees learned how to attract high-value clients, leverage smart, scalable AI strategies, create rich, impactful content using AI and proven digital marketing techniques. Coming up to continue this series, please join us August 26th. How to navigate your competition. September 23rd, small business, ways to access capital. October 28th, ways to prepare for the holidays. All workshops are $15 each. Rancho Family Fest, as a reminder, Rancho Family Fest will take place on Friday, October 3 and Saturday, October 4th. We are currently at tent capacity with several sponsors already secured. This year we'll feature new vendors and a fine art fair, along with a new stage presentation designed to boost crowd interaction and engagement throughout the event by our very own Fred Heim. This coming October 2025, November, I'm sorry, is the State of the City and Business Award. Mayor Tony Beal will be delivering the address at Duck Canyon Golf Club from 5 to 8 p.m. Thank you, Mayor Beal. We also extend our gratitude to our presenting sponsor, Mission Hospital. More updates on this event will be shared at our next City Council meeting. Thank you for having us here this evening. I really appreciate each of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Brings us to item 3.2. Mayor Pro Tem, would you please join me in front of the desk for this next presentation? This item is item 3.2, and it's a proclamation declaring midsummer to early autumn as wildfire awareness and prevention season. And so at this time, I would like to invite forward to join us in this and to accept this proclamation, Orange County Fire Authority Division Chief Shane Ball. I want to share with you the contents of this proclamation. Whereas in 2020, California experienced a record-breaking wildfire season with over 4 million acres burned across the state. In 2024, the state faced 8,024 wildfires that burned approximately 1,050,000 acres, reflecting a significant increase from the previous year. The recent wildfires in Los Angeles County, including the Eaton and Palisades fires in early January, resulted in at least 29 fatalities and destroyed over 16,000 structures. The economic impact of these fires is really truly profound, with estimated damages and economic losses reaching upwards of $250 billion. The airport fire in September 2024 burned 23,500 acres here in Orange County and in Riverside counties. That fire destroyed 160 structures, damaged 34, including homes and commercial buildings. There were 22 non-fatal injuries, 20 of which were firefighters, with no fatalities, thank God. At its peak, the airport fire threatened 20,780 structures. Extreme fires are a growing threat to public health, safety, homes, air quality, and climate goals. Approximately 25% of California's population live in areas identified as high or very high fire hazard severity zones. Sudden and intense wildfires may swiftly emerge, traversing vast distances and penetrating urban zones far from their origin, thereby detrimentally affecting public health and diminishing the overall quality of life for all residents. Every citizen has a key role to play in preventing destructive wildfires from occurring. Public education and up-to-date regional emergency planning are key to making our communities more resilient to the impacts of wildfire and other extreme weather events. All Orange County residents can learn about Ready, Set, Go to prepare for wildfire season and to help prevent loss of life and property at the OCFA's website, ocfa.org/RSG. So therefore, as the mayor of this city, on behalf of the entire city council, we do hereby proclaim the height of wildfire season beginning in midsummer and running through early autumn as wildfire awareness and prevention season. We encourage everyone to do their part to raise public awareness, to take steps to protect our homes and businesses, and to prevent sparking a wildfire. One less spark means one less wildfire. Chief.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I really appreciate this opportunity and really to see so many faces in the crowd. As this is a really near and dear one to our hearts, as obviously we live in one of the most beautiful places in the world, but because of that, we're no stranger to the threat of wildfire, right? You guys all lived it. Last September, we all lived through that, right? And we got January, the firestorms up in LA. We had a few fires starting in January down here. And already this kind of fire season as it starts, we've already had a few fires. We had San Clemente, little one in San Juan, Rico Canyon had a tiny one. We obviously had the one in Laguna that was threatening homes. So fire season truly, as it was mentioned in the proclamation, is a year-round threat for us, right? It used to be just a fire season in the year, but truly is a year-round threat. You'll see a FAA with their regional fire service here in this area. We're ready and prepared, obviously, to fight it from the ground in the air when they do start. But it really is important because it's a team effort. We're here to serve you and to be there when they do start. But what a lot of it falls on what we can do with our own homes to be prepared. So I won't go super deep into it because I know we got a lot to get through tonight. But if you could go to the website, ocfa.org/RSG, you can learn everything there is about our Ready, Set, Go program. But just a real brief summary, the ready is just making sure that you do everything to make sure that your homes are ready for when fire comes. It's not always the flames that get your house. Majority of the time, it's the embers that blow into your neighborhood blocks down the way. And you saw it in Altadena and all that. The embers will blow into the neighborhood and get into your home. So there's certain things that you can do to your home as far as enclosing your eaves, making sure that you have the area right around your home, the immediate zone clear, making sure you have, non-combustible roof and siding. But if you go on the website, we have everything to ready your home is on there. The set is making sure that you and your family are ready. Make sure you have a plan for when this comes. Make sure you have all the apps and the notifications on to let you know when these are coming and start preparing. Make sure you have a plan on what you and your family are going to do. What are you going to grab when it's time to go? Have a go bag ready, especially all of us living up against the pressure. You really should have a go bag and something that we can grab real quickly if we need to get out real quickly. Because when the fire is coming, you really want to be able to get up and out quick. And the big things with that is obviously people and pets, for your kids. Maybe. But go for your, families and pets, your medication. That's one people do forget a lot. I would like to say that one. And then the go is just knowing when it's time to go. Sheriff's Department work with them very closely, and they do a great job of putting out information, going through the neighborhoods. You guys probably all lived it if you're in Robinson Ranch area, where it's time to go. They'll let you know when it's time to go, but also the apps, Alert OC. There's a few different apps and applications out there where you can be notified when it's time to go. And when it's time to go, please go. If you're ready to go early. If you're nervous, even if they haven't told you to evacuate, please evacuate. Once there's smoke in your neighborhood, the smoke's laying down across the street and it's real dark, it's very dangerous for you to get out, and it's even more dangerous if the fire engines are trying to come in to save your homes and cars are swerving back and forth. So again, Ready, Set, Go is the program, ocfa.org/RSG. And one last thing on that, if you want, we can send one of our inspectors. They'll come out kind of in a white shirt when they come out. They'll come out in a white shirt. One of our inspectors will actually come out to your home. It's a free service that we offer, and they'll walk your home with you with a clipboard. And by the end, you'll have a punch list of items that you can do that will make your home safe. They're not going to follow up on anything, but really you'll walk away with a project list of things that you can do to ready your home. And it's a great program. You can sign up right on the website. It's a free service. Tons of people have been taking advantage of that over this last year. So I really recommend that. And again, thank you. Sorry for keeping so long, but it's a really important time. Thank you.
I just want to take the opportunity once again to say thank you so much for all the tremendous work that all the members of the Orange County Fire Authority do every day of the year to keep our community, homeowners, and our businesses safe. That's fantastic. That concludes item 3. Moves us to item 4 on our agenda, public comments. This is the first of 2 opportunities tonight for public comments. This is the time to address the city council on any matter not listed on the agenda tonight that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, and a time limit of 15 minutes for this particular segment applies. Council members, we did receive 1 e-comment from Tracy Gordillo, and you have a copy of that in front of you regarding fire prevention. And we have a number of individuals that have asked to speak with us live tonight. So first up, I'm going to call forward Chris McLaughlin. Good evening, Chris. Welcome.
Good evening, City Council. I trust you had a good month on. So it's not on your agenda tonight, but you may argue it's not in your subject matter jurisdiction, is you're not having a public hearing to receive community feedback to an idea, letter to our member of Congress, your friend, Representative Young Kim, letting her know that this city fully supports her voting to fully release the Epstein files. So that's not on your agenda. It's not something you're planning on doing. I'm here to give you the community feedback you didn't ask for. I think I'm the only one with this idea. Listen to how many people clap when I'm done talking. This is important for 2 reasons. One, procedurally, the executive branch of our federal government has completely failed us here. During a normal administration, the independent DOJ would take the FBI investigation to the U.S. Attorney's Office, prosecute those criminals who are guilty. But our Attorney General, Pam Bondi, she's already indicated, despite the 1,000 videos and photos on her desk for months for review, she doesn't plan on bringing any prosecutions. So, you know, it's one thing not to prosecute, but then why are they still suppressing the evidence? I think we all know they're suppressing the evidence because you know who is all over the Epstein files. But luckily, the legislative branch, Congress, also has subpoena power, can also conduct investigations and can release material to the public. They don't need permission from the executive branch. They don't need a court order. They're in quote separate co-equal branch of a federal government. So Rancho, I think, as a city, to put in writing that we support her doing so. Why is it important morally? Well, there's basically 2 kinds of people. There's those who support the release of the Epstein files. There's those that are on the side of history. As far as supporting it, there's Democrats, classic Republicans, independents, any normal person who isn't a pedophile. Wrong side of history, we have anybody who's in the Trump club, Trump cult, the MAGA movement, which in the future, if they're not careful, is going to stand for molesters or granted amnesty. So Rancho as a city has a long history of being staunchly against child sex predators. We passed the law 13 years ago banning registered sex offenders from being in the park. It shouldn't be a tough decision. It's not complicated. It's not a partisan issue. But I have a feeling, you didn't mention in your council member comments, not a big deal for you. I don't think you're gonna do the right thing here. I don't think you have the political courage. I don't think you have the moral fiber. I think you're in danger of ending up side of history. But in the interest of justice and for the sake of the victims, I sincerely hope to prove you wrong. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Good evening, well,
Evening. Want to make sure I got the right level here. So tonight, Janet Henry, 34-year resident of RSM. And tonight I am going to read an affidavit, and it might take me a bit more than 3 minutes, so I would ask for your indulgence here. And this is a signed affidavit under perjury.
everybody gets 3 minutes, so
Okay, so you just took some of my time right there, Mr. Mayor.
I'll give you 10 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this was a filed affidavit with the registrar of voters. It might have gone elsewhere. And it was filed by Mr. Sanchez. And he said that in and around October 2024, I went to the city of RSM to request and review the nomination paperwork filed on behalf of mayoral candidate Anthony Beal. While reviewing Mr. Beal's nomination paperwork, I observed that one of the signatures supporting his candidacy was that of Amanda Beal, identified on the document as the resident of RSM. Based on my understanding, that's Mr. Sanchez, by signing the nomination paperwork, Amanda Beal was affirming that she is a resident of RSM, as required by the applicable election laws. Amanda Beal is Mr. Beal's adult daughter, currently of 35. However, around the time that I reviewed this paperwork, I observed several online legal directory and law-related websites listing Amanda Beal's resident as Newport Beach. Click online, have to cut it short and get cut off. Additionally, another signature, which was Mr. Beal's nomination paperwork, appeared to be that of his adult son, 37. To my knowledge, and based upon publicly available information, Andrew Beal was living for years in Idaho, not in Rancho Santa Margarita. And there's some other evidence that he is now living in LA, and it lists his LinkedIn information here that verifies that. Now, it is also worth noting that based on discussions within the communities, believe that Andrew Beal and Amanda Beal have likely signed the last 2 or 3 of Mr. Beal's nomination papers. These signatures should be closely examined and matched against the individual's voter registration card. Multiple individuals have raised concerns and made comments that Tony Beal's wife, Jennifer Beal, may have forged their signatures on prior nomination papers. This possibility warrants further investigation. Moreover, Tony Beal signed and submitted his nomination documents under penalty of perjury, declaring that all information, including the residency of his signers, was true and correct. If it is found that his children were not legal residents of RSM at the time they signed those documents, then Mr. Beal knowingly submitted false information under penalty of perjury. Certainly, Mr. Beal is aware that the adult children do not live in his home. This could constitute a violation of the California Election Code. If either Amanda or
Time's up,
Ann
yeah.
also voted in a jurisdiction which they were not legally
Your
residing,
time is up.
they would constitute additional violations of the election law. I ask that this be submitted to the public record, please. And I have a copy of it right here with the signed affidavit.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. I'll just state for the record that all of those claims are completely baseless and without merit. They were also
You always
made,
get to respond when you say that you cannot respond.
ma'am, your time is up. You're out of order, please sit down.
Oh, but you're not.
You are too.
You are out of order too. You are not to respond to people. That's what you always say. Sorry, we cannot respond. So will you please not respond, and we will wait until we get the information. for
Your
you to
time is up,
respond.
ma'am.
Yes, yeah, unequivocally, yes.
As I started to say before I was interrupted, all of those claims are completely baseless and without merit. They were also made prior to last November's election, and complaints were sent to the authorities at that time. No action was taken because those claims are factually and legally baseless. It's nice of you to repeat them publicly, I don't believe you or the person that wrote that affidavit know anything about my family. And I don't believe either of you are aware. So thank you for your comments.
This was Carol Gamble.
Next up is Brianne Boyd.
All of that.
Welcome, good evening.
Very, very confused about the rules about responses. So, good evening. First, thank you for supporting access for residents, Councilmember Baird. In order to participate in our city council meetings as a resident, you have two options. Attend in person, listen to an audio recording posted on the city's website. Given the meetings are at 7 p.m. on a weekday, it can be difficult for folks who have family responsibilities and work commitments to attend in person. It can also be difficult or impossible to attend them if you are living with a physical disability. The audio recordings are simply that, audio. There isn't any video to go along with it. While the council members, for the most part, do reference who they are addressing before someone speaks, this can still be difficult to understand or to follow for those with auditory processing disorders or differences, or when people speak out of turn from the council. I noticed in the city council agendas that the city is required to accommodate as best as they can any request for special assistance in regards to the council meetings for those who have disabilities. Per the RSM website, and I quote, "In compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, if you need special assistance to participate in a meeting, you should contact the office of the city clerk. Notification 72 hours prior to the meeting will enable the city to make reasonable arrangements to assure accessibility to the meeting." I have an ADA recognized disability related to processing. Being able to visually see who is speaking makes it much easier for me to participate in these important meetings in our city. I also have my own business and family commitments that can make it difficult to attend meetings regularly. I sent in a request for the council meeting to be filmed and posted online as a video within the 72 hours. This request complied with the RSM accommodation request requirements and timing, and I was told they would do their best. I don't see any cameras here except mine. In July, I asked Tony Beal and Greg Simonian after a meeting why they weren't filmed. I was told it was because the city didn't want to waste money on something only to have to change technology later. Seems they care more about city finances than accommodating disabilities for their residents. The city effectively operates behind closed doors for the vast majority of its residents, between not filming meetings and holding most of their conversations in closed sessions, or in times when you can't respond. It seems this council isn't at all interested in encouraging residents to actively engage and participate in what happens in our city. That's not a fair or a transparent process. Thank you, and I didn't need any responses.
Next up is, I apologize if I get your name wrong. Iran. Zo? Sorry. Welcome, sir. Good evening.
Ambiguous.
Give
Unambiguous was used frequently in the last meeting. It's a very subjective term. It's means to be based on or influenced by personal feelings, tastes, or opinions. Make a few unambiguous statements on behalf of the underrepresented demographic constituents of RSM that are unable to speak or attend these meetings. Number one is the need for civility within RSM leadership. That is clearly the need for your constituent to ask legitimate questions, clearly ambiguous. The need for council members to be civil, clearly unambiguous. The election clauses by which your predecessor violated voting, clearly. The need for council members requiring to be counseled and legal upon district voting rules and clauses, clearly unambiguous. The need for bipartisan representation in RSM leadership is clearly ambiguous. The need for council members and the mayor to act as civil their constituents that are not represented here in this leadership. It's clearly unambiguous. The greatest act that a Republican leadership in this council can do would be to actually help get representation of what's missing in this leadership. It's not a hard thing to do. But you can imagine what it would be like if there was actually representation in this leadership council for all constituents of RSN. Hope that you see what I'm trying to say here. Someone changed their name from Dean George Tanaka to Dean King. What do you think the reason for that is? Obviously, wanted a name that he could be liked. Wanted to be part of society that he thought a name would represent him differently. Some people would say he was trying to be white. Why is that? I'll let you answer that question.
Thank you for your comment. All matters on the consent calendar are to be approved in a single motion unless a council member, member of the staff, or member of the public requests separate action on a specific item on the consent calendar. I'm going to pull item 5.4. Do any other items need to be pulled tonight? Colleagues and members of the public, my apologies. I believe we may have missed one additional individual that we to address us during public comments. Is Jacqueline Martin here? I'm very sorry. I inadvertently missed your card. My apologies. Welcome.
I'm Jacqueline Martin. I've lived here in RSM for 22 years. I started my family here, still raising my family here. And I would say that overall, since I've started being able to attend these meetings regularly, I feel overwhelmingly disappointed. Terry brought up this evening, the council making things easily available for residents. That's not true. And yes, I do go to the website and review all the documents. I'm digitally fluent, part of my job. And it's kind of a hunt search to find the material. They're not actually all that easily accessible for most of your residents who are not equally digitally fluent. The meetings are not broadcast, which is why until I had more time available because my two older children started college, I didn't have the time to come here and attend in person to see who was speaking and what was being said. I also struggle to be able to understand things if they're just a recording. And frankly, the digital quality of the recording isn't all that great to begin with. There's an old saying that you can tell where someone's values are by where they spend their money. And later in this meeting, we're going to be talking about spending money on useless beautification so that people who play golf have a lovelier view from the golf course toward the road. But we're not spending money on meaningful after-school programs. Frankly, finding out that the Boys and Girls Club is going to continue offering services at the junior high is something I just learned this evening. It hasn't been broadcast or shared. This council said earlier this year that they were going to be looking at options for affordable childcare. I've yet to see anything proposed. All we hear from this council is more activities to acknowledge things or post ordinances or acknowledge that things are happening. But I don't see any plans to actually make life better. And no, spending $800,000 plus and approximately $8,000 a year to maintain plantings along the road don't actually improve the lives of the people who live here, who are raising their families here, and who are trying to build a life here. They don't care if there's stone fencing. They care if they have affordable, accessible childcare. They care if they have meaningful action from their council to actually acknowledge and address the things they care about that help their family. And I'm very disappointed that these are the people who represent us, who are not in any way listening to what their constituents actually care about or have to say, and our tax on them. Thank you.
So now we will deal with the consent calendar, item 5. I pulled item 5.4 for separate action. Any other item? People, colleagues. Entertain a motion on the balance of the consent calendar.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carried unanimously. So we're going to now deal with item 5.4. Approval of the warrant register dated July 7th, 2025 through August 4th, 2025. I pulled that item because we have a member of the public that wanted to speak to that item. So at this point, I'm going to call forward Chris McLaughlin.
Good evening, City Council, once again. A month ago, when I was here, I said I thought that local government functions best when it's focused on, well, what are we going to pay for and how we're going to pay for it. I noticed that we have about 4 million going out the door this meeting, which is twice as much as normal. You did take a month off, so that kind of makes sense. Went down and saw that there's Nielsen Mercasamer, or customer, and I'm sure you pronounce it, litigation CVRA fees for June 2025, $39,635. So I put in a public records request to get that invoice. Apparently, we're paying this law firm $39,000 to help with the lawsuit that we're getting sued for because we didn't pay an invoice for $38,000. So I'm having trouble understanding how that makes sense that we're already underwater $1,000, and this is the June fees, not July or August or September. So I looked up Nielsen Mercasamer, however you say it. It's a Bay Area law firm. They specialize in government agencies, suing other government agencies, and they have offices in San Francisco and Sacramento. I'm kind of curious how Rancho picked a law firm in the Bay Area. Could you not find one in Orange County? Is there nothing in Southern California that makes sense? Given the fact that the city is saying it's essentially a billing dispute, that the invoice submitted by Attorney Michelle Jackson is improperly formatted, like scared to pay for it, you can't pay for it, because then you get in trouble. That's a billing dispute. So we need this law firm from the Bay Area to figure that out. There's obviously a lot more going on here. It seems like some sort of political crusade with a law firm that has offices in Sacramento and San Francisco, not anywhere near where we are. I'm having trouble understanding. You didn't want to pay the original invoice because you wanted to avoid litigation, or you switched the districts to avoid litigation. That litigation and it's costing more than if you just paid it. So I'm kind of curious. I really want to see the invoice to say what constitutes a $39,000 invoice from an attorney that you're comfortable paying when you can't pay the one that's statutorily provided for in the California Voting Rights Act. Anyone, the real problem with is we can't pay it because it's not sufficiently substantiated. When is the last time the city got in trouble for paying that's statutorily provided for? The answer is probably never. We're now getting sued for nothing. So, and we're paying more outside counsel, not just our regular inside counsel, Mr. Simonian. It's got another $30,000 invoice. It doesn't make sense. The math isn't mathing. Please.
Okay, Council Pauly, 5.4. Comments? Not, I entertain a motion to divide 5.4.
Sorry.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Brings us to item number 6, public hearing items. Tonight we have none. So we now move to item new business. Point is an application for inclusion on risk reduction of community limits. Ms. Kuda, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Beal and members of the City Council. The city currently has the opportunity to be designated as a fire risk reduction community and receive placement on the fire risk reduction community list. This list is a list of local agencies which are located in the very high fire hazard severity zone that meet best practices for local fire planning. This list is developed and maintained by the California Board of Fire Protection. The first list was created in July of 2022, and it is now currently updated every 2 years. The 2024 list is the most recent. It only has 50 on it at this time, and only the Brea Fire Department county, that is the only Orange County jurisdictional department on the list. I have a feeling that the next list will have a lot more representation throughout the state, especially in Orange County, because there's a lot more awareness of this list this time around. The application criteria to qualify for the list, there are some mandatory criteria and some optional criteria. The optional criteria give agencies credit for local fire planning actions that exceed the state minimums. And there are 6 criteria of which the city must meet 2 to qualify. The mandatory criteria are adoption of a local ordinance designated with very high fire hazard severity zone. You'll recall that was accomplished in July by the City Council. Also, the safety element of the agency's general plan has to have been submitted to the Board of Forestry and Fire Protection for review. And that was done and accomplished in 2021. And all of the recommendations of the board have been accomplished this time. For the optional criteria, there are 6. We can qualify by meeting 2, but we need 4. We have adopted local regulations which exceed state minimum fire safe regulations. We've adopted defensible space regulations and a code. These were all adopted with the triennial building code cycle. You guys will be seeing the next triennial building code cycle at an upcoming meeting. These are accomplished by adopting recommendations for code amendments from our local fire department, County Fire Authority. In addition, we also meet the criteria where we identify wildfire as a high priority in the local hazard mitigation plan. The latest local hazard mitigation was also approved by the City Council just last. Benefits for receiving this designation. The page here is also provided in your staff report so you can read it. The community will receive priority when applying for wildfire prevention grants through CAL FIRE. The California Department of Insurance Safer from Wildfire Program regulations require that insurance companies recognize structures in a fire risk reduction. The process is fairly simple. It's an online application. I have included a copy of the draft application in your packet. The application period closes October 1st, and the next 2-year list will be published in January of 2026. That concludes my presentation. Assistant Fire Marshal Avoy from the Orange County Fire Authority is also here. He provided all of the technical information you see in that application for our use. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council colleagues, any questions for our staff? Councilmember Barrett.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I do have a couple questions. You talked a little bit about possible benefit for the homeowners in the area. And can you go a little bit more into that of what you know that could potentially happen? The information that I know is what's here on the screen and in your packet. The Safer from Wildfires regulation in state code requires recognition in homeowners insurance decisions. Okay, so once we are approved, hopefully, our residents in contact with our homeowners and let them know that we are on this list. Their homeowners insurance. Yes, most likely. We will definitely look into that a little bit further and find out what that process is so that we can share that information. Okay, and this is the first time that we're applying for this. Correct. Thank you.
Councilmember Figueroa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Cheryl, I just was wondering, well, first of all, thank you for moving forward with this designation. I think it's really important. Do we anticipate that most Orange County cities will be doing the same? For example, if they don't back to a lot of open space, is it still beneficial for most of the Orange County cities to be moving forward with this?
I believe it only applies when cities do have at least some area in the very high fire hazard severity zones. But I believe that is most of Orange County. The fire authority really reached out to us and told us about this opportunity, and they shared it with all of their contract stations. The Orange County Fire Authority has also applied individually as an agent.
Thank you very much.
Council, I want to call your attention to the fact that we did receive quite a bit of public feedback. You have before you the e-comments that were sent in from members of the public. 17 individuals wrote in support of this application, including Jennifer Belander, Roger and Lori Brent, Michelle Ferrell, Robert Collins, Cindy Gildersleeve, Peter Griffith, Beth Hurd, Rick Hurd, Teresa Kennedy, the Lundberg, Joanne and Henry Kelly and Chris. So received one letter in opposition from Mary Dorsack. And we received one additional letter supporting but requesting Robinson Ranch Road maintenance request of the city from Mr. Doug Chapman. So you could take a look at what he said. His letter maintenance request that he submitted to our city. We do have also one person in the audience tonight that's asked to speak on this matter in person. So I'm going to call forward Russ Forty. Good evening, Russ. Welcome.
Good evening. Fairfield City Council. My name is Russ Corey. I reside in Dub King. I'm a member of the Community Association of Rancho and the RSM Boys Group. I'm speaking this evening in favor of this listing. I think it's very important. And actually, to me, it's a no-brainer. Almost 1 year ago on September 9th, 2024, we all experienced the airport fire. But I still visualize the flames going across the San under the helicopters taking water from the lake to the fires. And, we were really blessed by not only our first responders, but the fact that the wind shifted to the east over the mountain range. Otherwise, I would be telling a different story tonight. The 5 communities of Death Canyon, Rancho, Walden, Trabuco Highlands, and Robinson Ranch are the most vulnerable communities in the city to wildfire. As they back up to the Santa Ana, then we have one way in and one way out. When they exit, they're all going to Plano, Trabuco. Rancho Warden can help evacuation roads for these communities and throughout the city. At CAR, we've developed an in-person wildfire preparedness and home hardening presentation for residents, which we have done several presentations and established the firesafe.org website, both of which help the residents apply for resources they can use on not only how to protect their families during a wildfire event, but how to fire their homes. Trabuco Highlands and Robinson Ranch applied for and received a grant from Cal Fire for fuel modification assistance. And now Dub Canyon Golf Course, Rancho Cielo, Walden have also applied. We thank the city for their letters of support. In addition, Rancho, Cielo, and Walden I'm a fireworks community. Dove Canyon soon to follow. The fireworks community thing if awarded will give the city a much needed resource and needs in creating a long-standing wildfire emergency program. All residents of the city become aware, be prepared, and stay safe for such an event through outreach and educational materials, along with the possibility of reduced fire insurance, which we know has gone through the roof. We are remain the safest city in the state of California for crime. With this listing, now chance to make it the safest city for wildfire emergencies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council members, any comments? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. The sentence that matters the most to me in this staff report is the California Department of Insurance, quote, safer from wildfires, end quote, regulations require that insurance companies take into account and reflect whether a structure is in a fire risk reduction. End of story. I totally agree with Russ. This is something that's just to me a no-brainer that we need to jump on as quickly as possible. Certainly we do it every 2 years. The assumption here that they accept us as a fire risk community, reduction community, but people ask me, you know, that don't live around this area, and they say, hey, when's your next earthquake? And you know, earthquake's not the concern. Wildfires are the concern. So thank you, Cheryl, for the report. I'm going to be supporting this 100%. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Holloway.
Thank you. Support the same comments from Mayor Pro Tem. This is a no-brainer. Appreciate that processing this and strongly support it.
Thank you. Councilmember Figueroa.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm very happy to support this item tonight.
Councilmember Rivera.
I wholeheartedly support this application. I appreciate and I'm grateful for our city staff and for Cheryl for bringing this forward to us and for Fire Chief Shane Moll for bringing this opportunity to our attention. Like my colleague, I think putting us on the fire risk reduction community list will give us better access to wildfire prevention grants and ensure that the insurance companies recognize the safety measures that we've put into place. And I think that's a really important step in protecting our residents' homes and spaces from wildfire. So thank you all.
Wonderful. Thank you. In recent meetings, we have heard from a number of residents because we've been dealing with fire issues and fire prevention issues. And a number of residents have asked City Council and our city to do all that we can to, number one, be proactive, reduce the risk of wildfire. Number two, try and do something to help address the problem of the ever increasing, very high insurance costs. And, you know, every day of the year, all year, we as a city, working with our partners in the Orange County Fire Authority, we proactively do all we can to prepare for and reduce the risk associated with wildfires. And this agenda item is an example of addressing the secondary impacts, the high insurance costs that result from some of the big fires that have taken place. So I'm also strongly in support of this. And for those that have spoken to us, members of the public in fire meetings, this is an example of us trying to proactively take every step possible to address increased insurance costs, as well as to have increased grant opportunities. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move the staff recommendation. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I heard Councilmember Figueroa first, so I have a motion in a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right. We are now at 8, continued items, 8.1, design review for the Antonio Parkway Gateway Improvements Parkway Project. Mr. Parco, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Beal, members of City Council. This item before you tonight is a discussion on the various options for the construction of the Antonio Parkway project. By way of project highlights, the overall Antonio Parkway Gateway Monument, Median, and Parkway project was initiated 5 years ago. There has been extensive design review process that has occurred since that time. I'm happy to report that the entry monument and median portion of the project is substantially completed. The Parkway portion of the project was postponed and taken out of the bid for the current fiscal year. At the May 2025 budget session, City Council requested that alternative options for the Parkway improvements be looked at and brought back to City Council for consideration. By way of project timeline, the project was started, as I mentioned, in January 2020. The design contract was awarded to Rick Engineering. Unfortunately, during COVID-19, the project was postponed in April 2020. In December 2021, the design was re-awarded, and the design review phase started in January 2022. In October 2023, City Council approved the design concept. May 2024, the design was completed. And in December of 2024, City Council awarded the contract for the entry monument and the median construction portion of the project. And in May 2025, at the budget study session, City Council requested that staff work with the city's consultant and value engineer some options for the Parkway portion of the project. So as I mentioned, the Gateway Monument and median portion of the project is substantially completed. And this year we are right now we're going to talk about the Parkway construction options for this project. So this slide shows the artist rendering for the Gateway portion of the project. Note that the canopies of the tree and the as-built condition on the bottom picture. Note that the canopy of the trees will fill up in 6 months to a year, as well as the landscaping. So April 2026, we anticipate this area to look just like the artist rendering. This slide is another artist rendering of a median and as-built pictures of what it looks like today. I'll note that the trees in about 6 months will fill up and look just like the artist rendering. So this slide shows the Parkways artist rendering on the Tejeras Creek side. We are proposing a 3-rail concrete split rail fence, pilasters spaced at 40 feet apart. And the bottom pictures are here just for reference purposes. Staff wanted to show, as we're talking through the options, what the existing site looks like. The pictures were taken in summer of 2025 and spring of 2025. On the monument side, of course, during the summer, the slope does look dry and a little brown, but during the spring, that side does green up and look pretty nice. And as far as the Tejeras Creek side, there's no noticeable differences between the seasons. So this slide was created just so that we can keep straight what improvements are proposed. And in the original approved design on the Tejeras Creek Parkway side, a 3-rail wood treat fence was proposed with pilasters at 40-foot spacing. The lighting is proposed to be hardwired in the ground at 40-foot spacing with decomposed granite underneath the fencing. On the entry monument side, we have landscaping, irrigation, and mulch proposed in the originally approved design concept. So as I mentioned in the May 2025 budget study session, council directed staff to look at various value engineering options with Rick Engineering. Some of the various things that we looked at were differing the spacing, spreading the pilasters apart from 40 to 60 to 80 feet. We also looked at 2-rail versus 3-rail wood fencing. And also looked at different materials for the fence. So included woodcrete, Trex, and vinyl. And we looked at decomposed granite versus mulch, as well as reducing the planting and irrigation that was originally proposed. So as a summary, staff's recommendation after working with Brick Engineering, looking at costs. This table summarizes what staff is recommending for proposal. On the Harris Creek Parkway side, we are recommending to space the pilasters at 80 feet apart. We are proposing a 2-rail woodcrete fence opposed to a 3-rail. We're proposing solar uplighting at the 80-foot spacing and mulch instead of decomposed granite. And on the entry monument side, we are recommending to keep that the same as the original concept. So at this time, I'm going to turn the presentation over to the Assistant City Engineer, Tree Nguyen, and he will walk you through the details of the recommended proposal.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. As mentioned, the current design for which the value engineering analysis is based will be liberal fencing, pilasters, uplighting, as well as decomposed granite on the Harris Creek Parkway site. And then on the entry monument site, we'll be working off of landscaping irrigation. So at the May budget session, based on the City Council's input, we want to go back to take a look at some of the aesthetic components to see if we can make any modifications, see if we can still upkeep the beautification standards that the City Council expects while making changes to reduce costs to the overall project. So on the left side of the slide, you'll see various examples of split rail fencing, either within or nearby the city. As Joe mentioned, we took a look at the fencing material. The current proposed is woodcrete. It's a combination of concrete and wood fibers. We also looked at Trex material, which is a composite of plastic and wood fibers. And then we looked at vinyl, which is a plastic type of fencing. We also wanted to look at to see if we can reduce the number of railings. Currently proposed at 3 rails. We wanted to see if we can propose 2-rail fencing. One of the great things about this area is the open scenery behind the fencing. So by us reducing the amount of railing, we'll actually be able to improve site visibility to the open space behind it. And the last thing that we looked at was the pilasters. So currently it's proposed at 40 feet on center. We want to see if we can expand the spacing to 60 feet or even 80 feet. The roadway speed in this area is 55 miles an hour. Cars are traveling fairly quickly. We believe that we can increase the spacing of the pilasters without taking away from the visual appeal of the fence. So based upon, so the red text equals the current design. Blue highlight equals staff's recommendation. We wanted to take a look at the value engineering analysis, and we wanted to uphold the City Council standards for beautification as well as what the community has been accustomed to, while at the same time also considering cost for the actual project. So we are recommending keeping with the woodcrete. We do believe that is the superior product. It gives a very wood-like feel or wood-like look. It's the same material that's used at the Harris Creek Golf Course. They seem to be pretty happy with it, and it's very low maintenance. We are recommending to change from 3-rail to 2-rail. And as I mentioned, the scenery behind that area, it's very open views, open scenery. It's just would improve the view behind it. And lastly, we are recommending to move from 40-foot spacing on the pilasters to 80 feet. Once again, the cars in this area are traveling fairly quickly. It's a meaningful cost savings. We're looking at approximately $140,000 in cost savings. So that is our recommendation for that. And as far as the moving from 3-rail to 2-rail fence, we're estimated to save approximately $40,000. At the end of the presentation, there's a table where we combine all the various slides of the components in order to for better discussion and reference. So some of the other components that we looked at for the ground cover underneath the fence was right now it's currently proposed as decomposed granite. We wanted to see if we can perhaps use wood mulch or even the existing site condition. As you can see from the existing site condition photo, it actually, a lot of the areas have a look similar to decomposed granite. It's not compacted, but these areas are meant to be walkable surfaces either. Another thing that we looked at was the lighting. It's currently proposed as hardwired lighting. We wanted to see if we could use solar lighting, still keep with the same aesthetic feel, visual appeal, but at the same time be able to reduce costs. So the photos on the left just show the photos of the various ground cover materials underneath the fence. We have the wood mulch, the decomposed granite, as well as the existing site condition. The photos towards the right side of your slide, that is the proposed solar lighting that we reviewed. And then the other photo is the hardwired lighting, which shows the example of the in-ground hardwired lighting that is currently proposed as part of this design. So the lighting is based upon the solar, I'm not sorry, the lighting is based upon the pilaster spacing. Since we are recommending pilaster spacing at 80 feet, we are recommending also that we propose the lighting at 80 feet. We are proposing solar lighting. There is an estimated cost savings of $177,000 for this. In addition, we are recommending to move forward with the wood mulch instead of decomposed granite. There is wood mulch currently in the existing median that was just constructed. There's wood mulch at the entry monument. And then also we're proposing landscaping at the parkway, which will also have wood mulch. So it'll tie in nicely with all of the other project components. Estimated cost savings is $103,000. We do show cost of $12,000 for installation, but we are aware of some grant funding that we believe we can get. And essentially it would make this item free of cost. So the next thing that we looked at was the entry monument parkway. Currently, as proposed, we have landscaping and irrigation as well as mulch throughout the entire section. We wanted to see if we can reduce the amount of landscaping, still be able to get the visual appeal, still be able to reduce the cost to the project. We wanted to see how much bang we can get for our buck. So with this one, we are actually recommending to stay with the status quo. Even though you have a reduction in landscaping, a lot of the costs associated with this item is has to do with irrigation. So you still have to run irrigation mainline throughout the entire segment, whether or not there's plants above it. So we don't, and also the gaps in the landscaping, we don't believe that that may necessarily be as visually appealing as what the community is. Should the city council decide to go with the reduction in landscaping, which is not the recommendation, there is an estimated cost saving $40,000. Another option also is to postpone this section or this portion of the work. The future fiscal year is estimated to cost approximately $160,000. So if the city council were looking to perhaps offset some costs just for this fiscal year, that is an option. So if based upon the 5 components that we just reviewed, should the city council go with the current design, the estimated hard construction cost is $1,292,000. If the city council goes for staff's recommendation for the value engineering selections, estimated cost is $832,000. So it's an estimated cost saving to the hard construction cost of $460,000. There is ongoing maintenance costs for the parkway landscaping estimated about $150 per month. And for the total project cost, this is the hard cost as well as soft cost combined. If the city council were to go with the current design, the estimated project budget is $1,725,000. If the city council decides to go with staff's recommendation for the value engineering selections, the estimated project budget would be $1,119,000. And this is the table that I was referring to earlier. It puts all the components into one table. The red text equals the current design, the blue highlight equals staff's recommendation. Everything in between is the value engineering analysis that we did. Those the associated costs for potential reduction in cost. The city council decided to go with any of those selections. And we are currently in August doing the design review. We believe that we can implement city council's direction within September and then be ready to advertise this project in October 2025. We believe also that we could be back here with a recommendation to award construction in December The goal would be to start construction sometime early next year, January. With that, the recommendation for the city council is to provide input and direction as necessary. That concludes our presentation. We have Annabelle from Rick Engineering here with us. Be able to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report. Thank you for all the hard work that went into it. The council asked you to take a look at, to try and find construction cost savings on this project. And you come up with $460,000 cost savings. So that was a lot of work. And I appreciate that effort. Council colleagues, question for staff. Am I right? Am I not? Councilmember Holloway.
Thank you. On your page 13, question about staff recommendation of the 2-rail concrete fence at B72. Why that recommendation versus any other fencing recommendation? I mean, I just actually like the 2-rail vinyl fence. Clearly less expensive. Why the staff recommendation for 2-rail?
Based on our research, it was just a superior product. It gives that wood like feel. I know one of the things the council wanted before was low maintenance in the fencing, so it really can survive a long time without maintenance, whereas other products will have to be maintained more often. We did talk to Derek Street Golf Course. They have the same material there. We asked them if they were happy with the product. They said yes. So we just thought overall that that was the better product. It's a little bit more expensive up front, but I think taking into consideration the maintenance costs, that it will be offset in the long run.
So I'll just keep using the 2-rail vinyl fence as an example. Obviously, the difference there. You're saying that the maintenance for that 2-rail vinyl fence. Do you know what the numbers are? What the specific maintenance that makes up that initial cost differences?
For the vinyl fence, actually, I think that just in terms of aesthetics doesn't. I don't believe that that's what the community would expect. So we looked at it. It's, like I said, it's a plastic type of material, so it doesn't give as much of the real wood appearance.
But that wasn't my question. My question was, what is it you feel would be the ongoing maintenance cost of the 2-rail vinyl fence? That makes it that basically that was your reason for the different staff recommendation because of the ongoing maintenance. That's what I'm asking for, not the other part.
I don't have that information available, but I can find that out.
Perhaps your colleague can. Thank you. Welcome.
Good enough. And regarding your question, how much it will be, it is really difficult to determine that because it's a plastic product and it will break easier versus a concrete product. It won't break easy. People, sometimes even joggers go, someone falls and things break. How much it will compare the maintenance cost? Hard to tell. We just know that usually in community planning and remonuments, wood create is a preferred product. It just has better withstand with time. So I don't know if that helps, but you need a very specific maintenance. Usually vinyl, it will just need to be cleaned up. Sometimes vinyl also has issues with solar, UV gets damaged if it gets very hot. Issues that sometimes we don't have with the wood brick. So overall, it's comparing a better brand of a product. Similar, it has the same purpose. It's just you will have less concern that if there's too much heat, if there's water, things would just withstand better with time. Would great. And if you are very specific about maintenance long term, probably work with Tree and we can get you a better answer for that.
Yeah, and ongoing maintenance is certainly my questions about that. Okay, all with your experience with whether it be 3-rail vinyl or 2-rail or any of the lower cost items. Do you have specific experience? Because you're talking more generalities versus personal experience. Is that
I
fair?
mean, usually when we do these type of projects, we do want to use products that we feel they will stand a lot of public use. So that's the reason that we use vinyl fencing potentially in side yards or low fences. We don't use it in areas where we're gonna have traffic going fast. In a row. Do I have any very specific experience regarding that? I think we just have a little bit of feel more comfort with the wood grid. Personally, in my company, my line of work, that will be a choice. That will be the product we will choose. But again, if you feel that price versus longevity is something that matters.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get
No,
an idea of what,
I saw
but
you. Very valid question.
it sounds like it's very difficult to come up with specifics.
Councilmember Holloway, if I could add,
I'm sorry.
if you could imagine Antonio Parkway, it receives a lot of heat. You know, this is a vinyl product, it'll degrade over time. And so to get costs as far as value, you know, maintenance costs is typical, we can try and do some research on that certainly. But I will tell you that we did speak to the general manager at the Harris Creek Golf Course. And they have a similar product. They've had no maintenance. I went over there and looked at it. It looks pretty much brand new condition. So we feel that this is definitely, as Tree said, a superior product to the 2-rail vinyl fence. There's also a slope on the other side of that sidewalk, and I can see some safety issues with this 2-rail vinyl fence in comparison to the concrete fence. It's just a more sturdy product.
Okay, so safety issues. Get into that a little bit more. So are you saying that 2-rail vinyl fence has a safety difference?
Not a concern, it's just more durable.
Use the word safety. Safety concern, well, that obviously raises some red flags.
Yes, so for
It's on here as an option.
sure.
If we were to pick that, let's just say.
Yeah.
I'm speaking for council members. Where it would be a safety concern?
There could be a concern with people using that sidewalk in Antonio Parkway, bikes that are using that sidewalk. If they happen to veer off, you know.
Are you saying that the vinyl fence is easily broken if somebody were to run into it or
Correct.
fall into it?
It's
Compared to
definitely
the other product, that one is much stronger and would resist breakage, so no one's gonna fall down the hill.
That's correct. I think the real thing.
I mean, it's clear, vinyl, concrete, everything, I guess that, but,
Yeah, the concrete fence has foundations. It's a sturdy fence.
okay, next, thank you. Another question in reference to ongoing costs, monthly costs. With staff's recommendation, it might have been in here, I just didn't see it. Maintenance, ongoing maintenance and water costs, with staff recommendation, we have that.
Yes, I believe it was $650 per.
That's correct.
I'm sorry, there it is, right?
So Councilman Hall, this is based on an estimate that we received from Green Tech Landscaping, the city's landscape contractor, based on the maintenance cost for the median.
Because that's ongoing maintenance, and what about water?
That's included in.
Oh, that's like $650 a month is included.
Yeah.
Okay. The subject of the 15 rows on the both sides of the street extends beyond the current fencing. I've had a conversation with city manager about that. Could you talk about that a little bit? There's certainly a county issue as well. Road that fencing that exists there, what about that?
The back of the sidewalk, I think we have a couple of feet that is within the city right of way. Beyond that, that is county-owned property and by the county. To the extent that we obtain an encroachment permit to be able to put the fencing in, we would have the opportunity to kind of do some light cleanup there, but ongoing maintenance of the plant material that's on the county's property would continue to be the county's responsibility.
As far as you know, they have, again, we talked about that, they don't go and routinely do any kind of landscape to make sure that shrubbery and whatnot doesn't extend beyond the fencing.
I believe they consider that area sort of a more of a natural habitat area because it's beyond, it's near a creek. So there's environmental concerns there as well in terms of what they can and can't do. But they, and it's also on a slope. And so I know that their ability to do any extensive landscaping, but certainly we can talk with them about the sort of maintaining a general cleanliness as it approaches the fencing.
Thank you. No more questions.
Thank you, Councilmember Holloway. Councilmember Figueroa.
So first of all, thank you for providing these cost savings to us. They're quite substantial, so you've done your homework. Thank you so much. I do have a question on the solar light. This is different than hardware, obviously. Do you feel confident that we go with the solar lighting and give us a similar look? And is there any downsides to doing the solar lighting? Because this is a substantial cost savings.
To answer your question, Council Member Figueroa, I believe that it is a cost-effective savings. Solar technology has gotten a lot better. In fact, that solar lighting for our safety lighting, that's what we're using now. So the technology has improved. And so we're confident that the look will represent the same look as hardwired lighting. If Mr. Terry, if you have anything else to add to that, as far as the solar lighting?
I think the solar lighting is a very good option, especially because we will have great cost savings. The only potential concern, it could be this if people feel inclined to take it because it's easier to be removed. That's something that we need to acknowledge. So we don't have that issue. Yes, it's like Joe mentioned here is great savings and technology has improved. So there's something that we're seeing more and more. And it goes.
That's your only concern is somebody actually taking it.
Yes.
Okay, good. It's good to hear. And then my other question, you had mentioned regarding what item you were saying that there might be some grant funding available for the mulch. Is that the mulch or the decomposed grant?
That was for the mulch,
Just for the mulch.
correct? Yes.
Okay.
Right now it's estimated 12,000 for installation costs, but we believe we can offset that to make that free of cost.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? One question relating to the mulch that's now being proposed in place of the decomposed grant. That's underneath the fence, right? Immediately surrounding the fence area.
Correct, yes.
Initially, I think we're probably proposing the decomposed granite just to keep to reduce to the greatest extent possible, perhaps weed growth and intrusion. So might putting mulch in this particular area, since we're not planting that area, are we going to be subject to weed growth, have increased maintenance costs associated with keeping them from overgrowing the fence line?
Yeah.
Just the natural vegetation will spread right there, wouldn't it?
Yes. And maintenance is gonna be ongoing. We actually in the year we will get sometimes even weeks if we don't do stabilize the decomposed granite. So in this case, yeah, that's the reason we're proposing 4 inches of mulch. So that will inhibit the growth of weeds. There will be occasional weeding, like you said, we are next to a natural area, but that's what we use to suppress the growth of uninvited.
And the maintenance costs that are report that you delivered to us tonight, does that include that type of maintenance as well on a regular basis as needed?
It does not, that's only for the entry monument parkway side, but I will say that as part of just our annual maintenance, we do spray herbicide in that area, and that's why you don't see as much need for towards the sidewalks. So we do actually do some weed maintenance in that area already.
And just to be clear and clarify, the cost savings related to mulch in this particular area is how much versus the decomposed grant?
I believe it was about $115,000.
Thank you. Well, I mean, is that correct?
It's 103,000 savings, and then if we get the $12,000 grant, then
Appreciate that. Any other questions for staff? Okay. I don't believe I have any requests from members of the public to speak. So I'm now going to turn this matter over to the city council for discussion, comment, and deliberation. Mayor Pro Tem, do you want to start?
Sure, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Nguyen. There's so many times, years, I think now, isn't it? For those who may not be familiar, Mr. Parker pointed out, we started talking about this in 2019 and dealt with it again in January of 2022, in May of 2022, September, October of 2022, October of 2023, and then just recently in May of this year. That time in May, we sent it back to city staff to find some cost savings associated with this project. And I'm very pleased to see $460,000 taken off the top. My feeling is that this type of project is not unique. RSM Robinson Ranch has beautiful fencing throughout. To Harris Creek has beautiful fencing. Arroyo Vista, same sort of fencing. In fact, I live in one of those neighborhoods. I've never seen the fencing broken. Can't say for that. But I live in an area near to Harris Golf Course. Never seen sun fading or a broken fence at all. Quite frankly, as I sit here now, I can't remember if it's a 3 rod, if you will, or 2. That being said, I've never seen it. I was in favor of the Antonio Gateway Monument. It's looking fantastic. I think as it ages and start seeing the lighting, that's going to be a real feather in our cap. Great projects like this, with painting your house. You gotta paint your house and maintain your home and whatnot. Given the $460,000 savings that we've seen here, that's significant. That's not a small amount. Appreciate the hard work that you and staff have put into trying to find those savings after our budget meeting back in May. So with that, I'm going to be in favor. Hoping that council colleagues will support me on that. I think the 80-foot spacing of the pilasters it's fine. I agree with what you said. You're driving by 50 miles an hour. You're not going to notice one less stone pilaster as opposed to the number that would have been there at 40 feet. Double, obviously. I have concerns about the silver lining, though. I do have concerns about it being taken. If I recall correctly, when we had our center monument that was unfortunately struck on multiple occasions by individuals who weren't paying attention. We had wasn't that a solar light? And they kept getting stolen, if I remember correctly. Am I wrong on that?
Do you recall that we've had them stolen on occasion, but I don't know that that one was particularly repeatedly stolen.
My recollection.
There have been some stolen from time to
Yeah,
time.
and it's a big unit, small little thing. It was a good size unit.
It was usually the solar panel that would do it.
And these would have solar, I think each individual light would have a solar panel. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Quite frankly, I forget what the difference in price is right now with regard to hardwire. Here we go, 150. Well, let me hang on a second. Hardwired lighting was significantly more than solar, correct?
Correct, yeah, it was it's estimated to save 177,000.
All right, I imagine if something were to happen and these lights continue, that's still, we could address this later at a different date about hardwiring, but that being said, I again appreciate the savings of $460,000. I think the beautification of the city is very important. I think it's great for not just for our resident and property values, but it's important for the business community to put them on the map. People know where Rancho is. I'm sorry, stop. Say your thing.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify because we have changed the spacing of the pilasters, if the council wanted to have the installed lighting at 80 feet, we would save $86,000 instead of $177,000. So there still would be a savings over the existing cost. It just wouldn't be as much of a savings. So you would reduce the $460,000 savings by about $85,000 off of that.
Okay, and the lighting would only go up to 5. Is that right? The lighting, that's what it would be. And how many pilasters would there be?
So right now, the lighting, we have, like you mentioned, we have one light per each pilaster. So right now we have 68 lights. So if we reduce them to the 80-foot spacing, we will have 33 pilasters about. That will be a reduction of about 26%. You're correct.
Thank you. Well, as I mentioned, I think this is important. I think the residents appreciate it, the business community appreciates it. I don't think I'm the only person giving a lot of thanks for the fact that the Antonio Gateway Monument looks the way it does. It's only going to look better as we're done. I'm not completely opposed. If anyone else wanted to put in as hardwire lighting, I'm not opposed to that thought. Again, thank you for the savings of 460,000 or thereabouts.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Figueroa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, first of all, I've heard the same great feedback from Mayor Pro Tem was talking about. And again, this is a beautification of our city. This is actually just finishing the project that we just, are finishing up right now. This is the last part of it. So I've heard the same wonderful things from all of our residents. So in terms of the T-rail Wood Creek fence, I think that's a great alternative. I actually prefer how it looks versus the three-rail. Pilasters based at 80 feet. I think that's a fantastic cost savings, and I think we should definitely move forward with that. In terms of, I do have one other question regarding the decomposed granite versus the wood mulch. Would the wood mulch have to be replaced more often than the decomposed granite? I mean, I know mulch at my house gets spread out and it's not always where it's supposed to be. And is that a concern? And what do you feel might look better in that area?
No, that's a very good question. Personally, I can speak as a designer. I think wood mulch will fit a little bit more the space and the environment. Will need to be replaced, yes, eventually, because it degrades and also has a little bit of mobility, not as much as DG, but DG actually also will need to be replaced eventually. Probably DG will have a more longevity, it will last longer. However, the cost savings is so significant in this case that I don't know if it justified to have that.
Okay, that answers my question. And in terms of the wood mulch, you said we're going to be putting 4 feet.
No, 4 inches.
4 inches of that. So, and that would last for approximately how long before that has to be replaced?
Because it's, yeah, we'll will say at least 2 or 3 years, and because people will be basically that's gonna be the mark in the space, and it just goes under the railing. So usually when you have mulch and you have, when you have a parking space and people keeps walking, that's when they destroy, they move the mulch. In this case, this is gonna be a way. So the mayor say, is just gonna be helping with a little bit of weed control, basically, in this location.
Well, again, I just want to thank staff for providing these cost savings. They're substantial. And I was so happy when I read the staff report to see all of them. I think they're excellent ideas. And I think it's going to be just pushing off this project. It's going to make a huge difference again on that side of Antonio. So looking forward to supporting it. Moving this forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilmember Holloway.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly have supported this all the way through. I think it was a beneficial project. It used to be, and reap dividends. I appreciate the cost reduction and study from staff to get us down to this number. I do have some reservations about the description about the 2 rail vinyl fence. Anything other than concrete fence, the 2 rail concrete fence. Made an interesting point when you said that people are traveling at 55 miles an hour. What was when you said that, you actually brought it up twice, that when people are driving 55 there, what was your reason for bringing that up?
Just that they're not, the details like this don't obviously stand out as much as they're traveling so quickly.
You make an interesting point. It's kind of a point that almost slows down your business to some extent, because if your point is that the 55 miles, is that just a personal or is that a professionally researched opinion that that people when they drive 55 they don't see detail? Clearly makes sense. Or if you feel that serves a point, so it kind of sells the point of we don't need to spend as much money on something that people might not see.
That's a little late.
Maybe we should. Yeah.
I'm just trying to get clarification on your part.
Wait for that observation.
I totally see what you're saying. I'm not trying to sell an idea at all, but I think Mr. Noguya was talking more about the spacing of the pilaster and how they would look when you're driving that fast. Regarding the vinyl and the wood grip, we will follow your recommendations, but our professional recommendation as myself, landscape architect, in more vehicular environment, I will feel like wood grip is a little bit more of a sturdy, lasting product. Vinyl will work, of course, but I will go less professional comfort. It will work. It won't be fine if you are just delineating the space where people are walking and avoiding a little bit of mobility towards the quick side. Regarding maintenance, I feel like maintenance could be comparable. Vinyl and wood grip, probably you can just dust them. They are inert material, so they will last forever. But potentially how the city wants to approach the compatibility with other portions of the city, or what is the material that you guys, the city has been using throughout the city. We're not trying to sell an idea. We're just trying to provide you with a professional team.
Okay, and you're saying that the concrete fencing is what you see around the city?
Yeah, what I see around cities, what I have seen more usually the type of product that we will use in these more vehicular interfaces. If you will be talking about a side yard, or you will talking an interior or a road that has less vehicular traffic, I feel like I know will be a good option. You see it throughout the many parts of uh, Southern California, Mission Viejo, but it just has a different type of feel, maybe. And yeah, it could be that I'm a little bit more biased. It's just what my professional experience has usually shown.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that information. I also have concerns on the monument side of landscaping and irrigation with ongoing costs and even $700 a month. I think it could look very nice, similar to the other side of the street. It's gonna be difficult for me to support this particular recommendation based on lack of information completely about the final fencing and the issues tied with that. Also with that, adding landscape and irrigation, to me, it was easy to justify to meet the different scenario for me, but I'm just not gonna be able to justify it. If you mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Burton, do you have a third?
Yeah, one thing I have to mention, for those who aren't familiar with Antonio Parkway, I know Mr. Parkway brought up the word safety. There is no fence there, right? There's no fencing there. There is an open area and sidewalk, and you use it drop down to the Tributo River Creek area.
With the air creek side. Oh, there's like
There's like a arch and a half bar. Barbed wire, presumably to prevent people from jumping over and going down. It's not a fence. It's not going to stop somebody who's riding a bicycle necessarily. As I heard before, barbed wire. But to me, this is also a safety issue. You're going to have a fence there that somebody who's walking, not paying attention, or someone on a bike. We have enough stories about e-bikes lately. It's going to prevent them from going down into that heat. So I throw that out there as also a factor to consider with regard to the project.
I'm not opposed to fencing. I'm just opposed to that fencing without having more information.
Thank you. Councilmember Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do appreciate the thought that went into this. I know that the city council tasked you into looking at ways to reduce the cost of this project, and a couple of thoughts that I have on this. I've heard varying responses from our residents about this project, both supportive and not supportive of it. I appreciate the cost savings. I think $460,000 is a huge amount. Speaking to the fencing, I did drive this parkway. It's not an area that I typically drive in my daily path. I drove it as well as had someone drive it, because when I'm driving at 55, it's very difficult to quite see what's going on. And it's a beautiful habitat area. Natural looking. Yes, there's a barbed wire fence in some areas. With the fencing, none of the fencing options would prevent a car, correct?
That will require another type of management complete.
Okay, so this is more for aesthetic purposes than really safety purposes.
Yeah, basically the idea behind this design has been to create a little bit of a corridor when you're going through that monument. So the monument is marking that corridor, and you have planting on one side, fencing on the other.
Okay.
Relative to like pedestrians, bicycles, like not automobiles, it wasn't intended.
Okay, so have we had a lot of instances of pedestrians or bikes having issues in that area?
Not that I'm aware of. There could be people who went over the side and didn't report it, but I haven't had any reports.
Okay, and then looking at that area, it is such a natural habitat area, natural vegetation. And, if we are going to go forward with this plan, I would prefer something more natural looking, like the wood, concrete mix or fencing, because that aesthetic to it, if for this beautification project, it would fit more into the naturally environment area that we do have there. It's natural beauty. You can see it's not going away. Vinyl fence, I think would just stand out tremendously in it and not be seamlessly with the environment.
Yeah, that would create a.
I believe the color was a natural color, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not.
And now vinyl also has different colors.
Okay, so the photo fence that's shown,
It's just an example of a fence in town.
Okay.
Yeah, it was intended to be a natural color.
okay, so any fence would be a natural color. Okay, well then I take my comment back. I would like more of a natural fence color.
Yes, the only difference is that potentially for the pedestrians, the experience to walking next to a natural environment with something that looks more like a natural wood, it will be more pleasant than if you're walking next to a more artificial looking product. So that was a little bit of our thought behind as well, that it will emulate a little bit of better wood, has a good texture. Fortunately, wood is very difficult to maintain.
And I would also like to say I appreciate about using the mulch. I think we just had a CR&R event here where we had mulch available for our citizens to take, and I think that's maybe something that you're referring to that we could use as a grant opportunity to supply that for. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Figueroa.
Comment. City of Orange uses Wood Creek a lot in their OC Parks projects, and it looks absolutely amazing. I mean, if you didn't go up there and feel it, you would think you're looking at a real wood. So I'm a real fan of it, and I think it would be a perfect material to put on this project. I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you very much. I'm a strong supporter of this particular project, and in my opinion, it's long overdue. This gateway area has been ignored for years and years. I love seeing the work that's already taken place, and I look forward to completing it. For the same reasons that I voiced when we approved the first phase of this. I think projects like this increase civic pride. I believe it also helps to maintain and increase the fair market value of people's homes, their businesses, just the properties in this city. When you have a beautiful, well-maintained city, the value of those properties either maintains itself or increases. We should not ignore the fact that we're in an aging community. We're celebrating 25 years of cityhood, but we had construction of structures here probably 15 years before incorporation. And we have a need, in my opinion, to ensure that Rancho Santa Margarita always remains the most desirable community to live and raise a family or to own and operate a business. We can't just ignore or disregard the improvements. We need to constantly look to keep this community the most desirable place that it can be. And I believe that's important because we're surrounded with some neighbors that are much newer than us, and we have to compete against them. Places like Rancho Mission Viejo, Ladera Ranch are much newer than us. We want to always make sure Rancho remains the most desirable community. We don't want to start showing our age. You have some safety benefits that comes from the fencing in terms of protecting pedestrians, bicyclists, and keeping them from falling into the wooded areas where there is a slope. And I believe a project like this benefits everyone in the community. We have 50,000 residents. I think the total cost of the staff's recommendation is now $1.1 million, round numbers. And that equates to $22 per person. To me, that's a bargain for a long-term benefit for the community, and I strongly support it. Any other comments?
Well, we're talking about right now, the vinyl, right, as opposed to the Wood Creek we're talking about.
Yes.
That's included within the $460,000 cost savings.
Yes. Yeah. That has.
Fair enough.
So that being said, I'm gonna just move the staff recommendation. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, I'm gonna call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
I'm sorry, can I ask for a point of clarification, please? So what we're voting on is to implement the staff report of the cost savings, correct? We're not voting on the project, we're voting to implement the cost savings for the project.
Well, we're providing input
we
and
can-
policy direction to move forward with this project as described here with these costs, the staff recommended cost savings.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. With this action, staff will then work on the final design and put that out for bid.
If somebody wanted, for example, to have hardwired lights versus the solar ones that are in the staff's recommendation, this would be the time to bring that up. If somebody wanted the vinyl plastic fence versus the wood, this would be the time to have that discussion. And so the motion was to approve the project as proposed and recommended by our staff.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll vote once again. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the motion passes 3-2. Thank you. And thank you again for all your hard work. All right, we now move on to agenda item 9, which is public comments. This is the last opportunity to address the city council. Under public comments on any matter not listed on tonight's agenda, I have one request to speak from Brianne Boyle.
So before I begin my comment, I know you said it's not on any agenda item. As someone who doesn't have the access to all of the things that you do, I wasn't aware of what extent we'd be discussing the fence. So are you saying that I can't speak at all about the things that were just discussed?
Yes, you could have spoken on that last item. You didn't ask to speak on it.
Okay, I put in a public comment card, but like I said, I didn't understand what it was because your agenda.
If you want to give us comments on your thoughts on it now, you can, but we've already taken the action.
Oh, that's fine. I didn't expect anybody to change anything with my comments, so I can speak about it. Okay. This is just for public comment for other members who again can't always make it here, but just because some people like how a cyber truck looks doesn't mean it's a good use of money. So, but I'm glad to see that you're caring about the spending and cutting back on the spending in this specific case anyway. It does seem like there's still more budget. I keep finding it every time we're here to buy a pride flag. So, but I also wanted to throw out that right after the fire presentation, you showed pictures of things you were going to plant. And one of those things was deer grass, which spreads everywhere and is highly flammable. So that seems like a great plan. And then also, it seems like we're saving some money. There was a mention about $140,000 in some of those things. That sounds like enough money to add maybe some signs for suicide prevention now along this area that you guys are adding more fencing to. So that's something that maybe to discuss as well, because now you have a fence that people can access and more people will be walking by it. So it might be more of a chance for that. But I know we weren't sure if that was valuable last time we talked about it. So the other side of that fence on the Harris Creek side, there's a steep hill, which is a great place now that there's a fence for wildlife like deer to have to jump over the fence and then just fall. So also just going to throw that out there. That $140,000 would almost cover the cost to keep the Boys and Girls Club. And I know you're talking about trying to, keep up with Ladera Ranch and all those fancy places that have white fences. But I think people here who value the city maybe over others might like support for their children, after school programs and affordable care. But definitely, I could be wrong. That fence might be so much better. But bravo on the solar.
Brings us to item 10, city manager's report. City manager.
Their report this evening.
Okay, item 12, it's a closed session. We do have a need for a closed session tonight, 12.1, public employee performance evaluation. That's listed in the agenda. 12.2, conference with labor negotiator. So the council will now convene into closed session for those two items.
And quickly, just announce the public comment. Can announce if there are public comments for the public.
Are there any comments? I have no speaker request cards. Seeing none, we'll now convene in closed session. Thank you.